So she has two claims. She posted about it in the Facebook group a couple weeks ago. But she has two State Farm claims that were both aluminum, that obviously they go back with vinyl, duh. Well, State Farm came back out and is taking back $4,000 that they agreed to pay from the get-go, because they're saying like, well, we just pay for what goes back on, which you and I both know is not in the policy. They're pulling that out of thin air. That's not real. So I gave her the suggestion, exactly what I just told you to do with this other claim, which was the homeowner has to be involved here because it's their policy. You can't act, once you cross over into talking about policy and legalities, you start acting like a public adjuster, and that's kind of a gray area as well. You don't want to be doing that. But it's the homeowner's business at this point because they're the ones getting screwed. They've already signed a contract for the total contract amount that State Farm initially said that they were going to pay. That's an agreement right there, right? So that's what the contract says. That's what the invoice says. So it's an act of bad faith for the insurance company to come out and play willy-nilly with the numbers after the fact. Like, they can't do that, obviously. But have you ever had that happen before? And what have you done if that's the case?
No, but we've always contemplated this, though. It's like, okay, so let's just say that they paid for on and off for a shake roof. And they happen to drive by, and all of a sudden they see, a tri-lam up there. And is there enough justification in the cost of the materials and the cost of the labor to make that big of a deal out of it?
Well, at the end of the day, you guys can charge whatever the French you want. So it's none of their business. So whether that aluminum was being paid at $8,000 and the vinyl came in at $6,000, you guys can still charge $8,000 for the vinyl. That's none of their business. So, because no two companies are going to charge the same. So how could they ever do that? Anyway, I think it's mostly just a smokescreen, and that's what I explained to her. I'm like, listen, they're going to try to do this, but they don't have any legal standing to do so. So you're probably going to have to take it to red level at this point, like insurance commissioner or arbitration or threats or whatever you want to do. But State Farm is just notorious for the seemingly impenetrable stonewalling that they do with these weird objections that are just what I call blanket objections that make no sense. Just like the stuff like, well, we just don't pay for that.
Yeah, and they circle the homeowners too. I mean, I had one customer so angry at State Farm because they'd call 3 times a day trying to get them to, say exactly what we were doing and this and that, and the lady's like, "It's none of your damn business." It's like,
no shit.
Good for you. I said, a lot of people they fall for that trap every time, and then they get screwed.
Yeah. Well, and I was kind of explaining also, like, especially when you have an Allstate or a State Farm claim, during the sales process, it's really important to set the expectation ahead of time. Because if you don't bring up that this could happen or State Farm could try to do this or they might say this, when it comes to a point where you, your homeowner, and the insurance company have been going along and then something comes up and the insurance company tries to do something weird, the homeowner doesn't know if you're screwing them over or if the insurance company's screwing them over. So if you've already said before the claim ever got filed, Mrs. Jones, just so you know, because you have State Farm or Allstate, they're I don't want to freak you out, but they're the toughest insurance companies by far. There are tons of class action lawsuits against them for screwing homeowners out of stuff that they're owed and things like that. If we have a house that has aluminum or, explain that, or if we have flashings, they're going to try to say that they don't pay for those and they want you to reuse the 15-year-old flashings. They're going to try to do stuff like that because I hate to say it, but they're greedy. Just so you know, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I prevent those things from happening and make sure that you do get indemnified properly. But be prepared. I might need your help to send in a letter or make a phone call if they do try to pull some of their typical tricks. And you're already ahead of the curve because you're going to be prepared for it. But just so you know, that might happen. Then when they get to say, they're like, oh, okay. Well, now when State Farm starts doing their shenanigans, they're like, Nick told me they'd say that. And now they're ready to bark up a storm with State Farm. They're not going, well, Nick, State Farm says that you guys could just reuse those flashings. Are you trying to it flips the script completely. So you have to prepare them for that ahead of time. So
Yeah, but it's hard to train guys to set expectations. It seems these days, because you can tell them, and you can train them to do it, but when they're actually in there talking to the homeowner all by themselves, telling them about all the good things that are going to happen, it's hard to train somebody how to gently tell people that it's gonna get worse before it's gonna get better.
Well, the thing
That's
is,
what we run into a lot.
yeah, the thing is though, I think it actually helps them close. And here's why. When you tell the homeowners all the good things, they're thinking, well, why do I need you? Because you eliminate all your value, right? It's like, I can do this and this and this. But they're like, okay, that sounds great. But when you can tell the homeowner something negative that can happen, now all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm really glad I have this guy because I would never have known that. Or if that does
Yeah,
happen, I need, I'm going to need help. So now it builds value because they're like, well, shit, I didn't even think about that. Like that can happen. I didn't even know. So that builds
yeah.
value.